Everyone. I mean, everyone experiences anxiety and even fear at times. And these are normal emotions, even helpful sometimes, telling us something is wrong. However, many of us experience anxiety that can be overwhelming and in some cases paralyzing in the moment, which is why I asked Dr. Jantz here to share some specific actionable tips for things we can do when feeling anxious.
Right.
Because so many people have been talking to me about this lately.
Well, anxiety is the #1 diagnosis in our country.
It is.
Above all other diagnoses, anxiety is #1. So what does that say? A lot of us are in the same boat,
right,
so to speak. And anxiety is fairly common.
It is interesting to note that it is common because I was talking with someone who was like, I feel like everyone has anxiety, but what is the difference between everyone having anxiety and to where it becomes to the point of overwhelm?
Sure. Anxiety, I have physical signs. So my heart rate goes up, I might have a little sweat, I feel that thing in my gut that is just disturbing.
Yeah.
So anxiety, maybe it's a headache, but there is definitely a physical component.
Okay.
Anxiety can disrupt our sleep. Anxiety seems like I can't brush this off.
Right. And it can also manifest in forms, very scary physical forms, like, am I dying right now?
Okay, that's a panic attack.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Sure. A panic attack feels like I'm having a heart attack. And you really may believe I'm dying. I just had somebody who was I-5 in the center lane, had a panic attack, blurry vision, cold sweat. He worked very hard to get his car over to the side, and he said, I was certain I was having a heart attack.
Oh.
But 10 minutes pass, and he goes, I'm still here.
I'm fine.
And what we realized was that was a panic attack.
Yeah.
They can sneak up on us, but they feel very intense. But the key word there was 10 minutes. 10, 12 minutes later, you're going to realize, oh, wait, I'm okay.
Yeah. I have suffered from panic attacks to
Yes.
the point where at one point I was diagnosed with panic disorder.
Okay.
And so I know how scary it is to be that person in the fast lane going, I got to get off this freeway right now, I'm going to crash. So what are some things we can do in that moment to just calm us down, to get to those 10 minutes out?
Sometimes you can feel like it's coming, and you know, I'm on the edge and you know it's coming.
Yep.
So I always suggest change your environment. Now, if you're in the car, you may not be able to change your environment, but go to a different room, and also #2, immediately get a glass of water.
Okay.
I know you don't feel like doing this. When we have anxiety, we just want to stay there and sometimes shake.
Totally.
Get up. Always move. Always move, and get a glass of water. I said water on purpose because not alcohol or not coffee.
Right.
Okay.
No stimulants.
And I want you to look at your watch or look at the clock because I want you to count down about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Just be aware of that. Because it is true, this will pass. It may be very uncomfortable, but if we can disrupt it by changing our environment, sometimes we need a little protein, if it's a protein drink, a protein bar, and water. But just allow yourself for some time to pass.
Okay.
I know it's extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but
it's
those
scary.
are a few things I want you to do right away.
Okay. So long term, how do we, now once we've had this panic attack and they're like, oh no, what's wrong with us? And then we start worrying about it, which becomes panic disorder. Like, what do we do long term?
I know, because we fear of the fear, right?
Right.
And it really does get us.
Yeah.
Because we don't ever want to go through that again, because it really is intense.
It's awful, yeah.
It is awful. And so one of the things we need to go, okay, what's at the root of this? Sometimes there's physiology that's triggering it. Could be hormonal issues, brain chemistry, even a low thyroid. Okay, so there could be things going on in our body chemistry or our physiology that could be triggering it.
Okay.
Not always the sole reason.
Right.
So I always say, get the blood work checked, get a checkup, but work with somebody that understands medical and mental health and how they go together.
How the soma and the psyche combine.
Yeah, because we've got to look at the whole person when it's anxiety.
This is so important. It's interesting because back in my day when I first said, I mean, this was like 15 years ago, they just said, well, here's some Xanax.
Here's your pill.
Here's your Xanax. And that's the thing is like, that's no way to sustain long term, right?
We want something else that's going to be more sustainable and get better results.
Yeah. So as you know, things start getting more stressful, what
Yes.
are some things we can do as anxiety starts to intensify in our life just around us and we know it's starting to get heavier
One
and
of
heavier?
the things I really like, if a person would consider doing a journal and only take 15 minutes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Okay, I want you to journal and jot down every day, and maybe it's at the end of the day, that's fine.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes max. What were the stress points of the day? Okay, what's going on emotionally, and important, of the 3 deadly emotions, which one is driving you? Anger, fear, or guilt, or shame. But what's driving you? If you've got a lot of irritation, a lot of anger, hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know, what is the predominant emotions?
And now that is fascinating, just identifying that.
And usually, if 7 days of doing a little journal, you're going to go, whoa, man, I got so much anger in my life.
got anger issues.
Okay.
Thank you so much for helping us walk through that. Speaking of anger, I did want to
Yes.
ask you before I let you go. You know, a lot of folks today a little frustrated
Yeah.
after the UW loss, the anger,
Okay.
very disappointed. So after a disappointing loss,
Right.
what do we do when things don't work, or they don't turn out, they don't work as planned? Even if it's something like a football game that's maybe not directly related to
Right.
our lives, but it still affects our lives.
It could be football, it could be a relationship, it could be a job, but something didn't turn out and you were highly invested in it.
Yeah.
Oh man, so many folks highly invested in how a football game's going to turn out.
Right.
So have I put my personal well-being into that?
Yeah.
Because if I did, okay, it's okay to have disappointment.
Yeah.
But don't let disappointment go to depression.
God, that's such a good point. Yeah.
So disappointment's going to pass after a few days. Depression may not.
Yeah.
And then, do I do anything self-destructive? I'm so disappointed. I'm so depressed. Well, do I turn to drugs? Do I overdrink?
Right.
What am I turning to cope?
Yeah. And at that point, maybe it's not just the game.
Right.
Okay, that's good to know. Where do we put that disappointment? How do we change perspective so that we don't go to that place?
Okay, but life and expectations can be quite interesting. If I always have the expectation things have to turn out a certain way, and they don't, I'm always going to live in disappointment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is a word called grace.
Oh, I've heard this word.
We need to be able to give that sometimes to people.
Right.
People make mistakes. We get disappointed. But also, is there anything I need to repair in a relationship that I'm always disappointed in?
Yeah.
Do I need to practice forgiveness? Is there something else that needs to be done? But a lot of times we set ourselves up.
Yeah.
Okay, football's a great example, not the only example, but there is going to be a winner and there is going to be a loser. There's going to be a bunch of people celebrating and a bunch of people not celebrating. But what do you do to that?
Yeah.
Or do you turn that disappointment again into self-destruction, depression? Do you take it out on other people?
Yeah. Or do you just...
You go, oh, experience it. Don't deny the it. So it's
Right.
disappointing.
Yeah.
It's disappointing, but can I move on and decide, okay, I'm not going to give my personal power away to that.
I love that.
So.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Oh,
Jantz.
yeah.
I always learn so much from you. Talking about forgiveness, maybe that's the next topic we talk
Yeah,
about.
that's a
I
good
struggle with that one too.